Thanks, Sue. You're now joined with Rob Bennett down here in northern Tasmania. We're going to go through a bit of a chat with Rob and his journey with Bundaleera Vineyard. So, Rob, can you tell us about the property?
Tom, the property is approximately 25 years old. We grow Pinot, which is half the property, Chardonnay and Riesling. Sue buys the Riesling and Chardonnay. It's just under 2 hectares, 7,000 vines, on a very picturesque, you might be able to see in the background, very picturesque property. We love living here. Yeah, that's about it. We've been here 4 years, out of the 25. Big learning curve for us, but yeah, that's Bundaleera for you.
So, Rob, you mentioned you bought the property 4 years ago. How did you come about buying this beautiful place?
I was going through some health problems and I was home recuperating after an operation, and went against doctor's orders and went for a drive. I was going crazy at home and went for a drive and went through this beautiful place of Relbia, which is only 15 minutes out of Launceston, Relbia, but it's a very picturesque place. My wife and I, as a young married couple, dreamt about living here. So anyway, went for a drive, saw this property was up for sale. I thought, what are they? Are they apple trees? I mean, seriously, that's how much I knew about the industry. I'm only joking about that, but seriously, I didn't know anything about the industry. But yeah, 4 years ago, nearly to the day, 4 years ago, we came along and fell in love with the view and the property and bought it.
So, how did you convince your wife to buy a vineyard with 7,000 vines?
Well, at the time, we were considering, and you might find this hard to believe, but we were considering actually bulldozing the vines and just building a house and living for the view. But that's sad. So I would have hated to have done that. So I'm approaching retirement age, from my job. I've got my own glazing business. My wife has worked at the hospital for 40 years, and we're looking for a transition into retirement. So. Yeah, look, I thought we'll buy the property and bulldoze the vines, and I thought, no, look, let's investigate the opportunity of me being able to do this. So I went and had a chat to Jeremy Deneen, which is the general manager, chief winemaker of the renowned Joseph Cromie Vineyard around here, and introduced myself and basically said, look, Jeremy, you don't know me, but all I can say is I've got work ethic. What's your suggestion? Can I do this? And his suggestion to me was to get a consultant, give it a couple of years, see if you can get your head around it. It's not rocket science. It's just a lot of work. So yeah, look, Janine didn't take any convincing at all, and my daughter at the time, which was still living at home, a 25-year-old, I think she may have been at the time, 24-year-old, she wanted me to buy it because she wanted to get married on the property. So yeah, expensive wedding, that one.
So you mentioned that you had your own glazing business, or you still do have your own glazing business, that your wife works at the local hospital. Is this a full-time venture for you now?
No, it's not. I'm sort of semi-retired from the glazing business. I still do it, but I've backed away from a few contracts. And my wife now only works 3 days a week at the hospital, so that enables Janine and I to work the vineyard with the help from people like yourself and a neighbour across the road, which is a retired farmer, which absolutely loves coming over here. And my son that lives in Sydney, when he can get down here, he brings his family down for a holiday, and I'm not quite sure if my daughter-in-law thinks it's holiday because they come down and my son works all the time. So, but anyway, no, only joking. They love it. It's a different surroundings from where they live.
So you mentioned you've had the vineyard for about 4 years, almost to the day. What have you done with each harvest over the past 4 years?
What have I done? The first year, under the guidance and of the consultant, he suggested that we just sell all the fruit. Don't even think about making wine. Just get your head around growing fruit. Then the following year we sold all the fruit to we sold the Pinot to Joseph Cromie. We sold the Chardonnay and the Riesling to Sue, and every year since. But we've had a small amount of wine made each year for our own. Sue constructs our Riesling and our Chardonnay for our little cellar door. So we do sell a little bit of wine, but it's not the main thing. Our main thing is growing the best quality fruit we can.
So what do you think's been the biggest challenge over the past 4 years, and what have you done to overcome those challenges?
Look, the biggest challenge, and it's an old cliche, isn't it? Knowledge is power, and I came into this, and your friends don't mean to knock you down, but a lot of them say, "What'd you buy that for? You don't know anything about growing grapes." And so the biggest challenge was just getting my head around sprays, timings is absolutely unbelievable. So the biggest challenge is just timing of things. Making sure, and I'm paranoid. The fruit had to be completely clean for me, and weather was a challenge. And when the spray's supposed to go on, it was either too windy or raining, and they're the challenges. But after the first 12 months, it does become a little bit easy because you gain knowledge. And frost is a biggie early when you're going through bud bursts and things like that, and you just cross your fingers that you can get through that period without any real severe frost. And then we get later in the year and we're going through veraison, and you put the nets on and you think, oh, we can have a bit of a rest, and then all I do is look at the weather pattern and think, oh, we don't need any rain, we don't need any humidity, because that encourages things like botrytis and other things. So we're so close to picking, and yet you can be so far.
So you mentioned over the last 4 years that Sue has bought your Chardonnay and your Riesling. What sort of relationship do you have with your winemakers?
Look, this is an industry that I'm flabbergasted with it, really. I mean, I've been in the building industry, and it's a little bit cutthroat and whatnot. I'll give you an example. Like, we obviously I lent on a lot of these people, and in the early days, and I asked, in my eyes, a lot of dumb questions, and they said, shake their and just reassured me that they're not dumb questions. Keep asking. And so I'd get on the phone, or I'd go around and see Jeremy, or I'd ring Sue, and or ring the consultant, and it was cheaper to ring Sue or Jeremy because the consultant charged every time I rang him. But so they all sort of had the same answers. But the relationship, for example, these days, because of a bit of a health issue that I went through, and still sort of battling a little bit, Sue, I'll see Sue that's trying to ring me on the phone, and I think, I wonder what she wants to know about the vineyard. And it's not about the vineyard, she's just ringing to see how I'm going. So that's lovely. So that's the relationship we got now. Business partners to an extent, but and we've just become friends, which is great. I love it.
So I'd love you to show me down into the vineyard, Rob.
Yep, no worries.
On the way there, a couple of quick questions for you. What's your favourite wine from the vineyard?
Oh, look, I've got to say the Riesling, simply, I have a Riesling every night with my dinner. But having said that, Janine has a Chardonnay with her evening meal. It all depends on the occasion. If we've got friends around, it's not happening these days, but if we've got friends around, I don't know, Pinot seems to be a wine that you can have after a meal and things like that. And with the Pinot, you take the lid off and throw it away.
Favourite task to do in the vineyard?
It's got to be harvest picking. Picking represents the end of the season, and yeah, we try to make it a real fun time. You know, we can get up to 16 to 20 pickers and bucket boys and things like that. And yeah, it's a fun, we try to make it a fun time. And at the end of the pick, the pick's over 4 days, but it can be over 2 weeks. Different varieties come on different stages, as you know, people listening probably already know. But yeah, and at the end of the pick, we have a barbecue and a beer, and we're all pretty tired, but it's a good tide, you know. So yeah, picking's the best part of the season for me.
What about the least favourite job in the vineyard?
Least favourite job? Well, we put a net. Netting the vineyard is the least favourite. For those who don't know, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but the bloke that's videoing me at the moment is also my son-in-law, Tom. And Tom and grabs a mate, and I drive the tractor, and we put the nets on. And yeah, that's the only time that we get, or we argue. We have words now and then with each other, but he keeps coming back, so he must love my daughter.
Very true. Most time-consuming job in the vineyard for you?
Most time-consuming? Look, there's a lot of time-consuming jobs, but putting sprays on. In the early days, I love driving a tractor. Look at me, I'm driving the tractor and relaxing. But to put a spray on this property when it's due is a good 6 hours. And you know, you're sort of turning around, looking to make sure that the spray is actually getting on where it's supposed to get on. Then we empty, then we're going to go and fill up, and sometimes, you know, time you clean your gear and things like that after a spray, it's a full day, it's 8 hours, the time you do things. So yeah, when I cringe when I've got to put a spray on.
So you've been here 4 years, you've obviously developed a passion now for the industry. What's your main aim for Bundaleera moving forward?
Look, we bought this vineyard, as I said, we were contemplating bulldozing it, so we weren't reliant on the vineyard. But look, I have become passionate, and you know, I've got a few mates that are a bit older than I am, and you know, sometimes they struggle, and they're in retirement, and they struggle to fill their days in, and that used to concern me. So we bought, now I've got my head around this a little bit better, still got a lot to learn. This fills in the time. So it's 5 months of the year that I've got to be on the ball in the vineyard. Going forward, look, I'm just a bit anal, I suppose. I just want to grow the best possible fruit to give to the best winemakers I know. And Sue being one of the best winemakers in Australia, we sell our Pinot around here to the renowned Joseph Cromie and the winemaker Jeremy Deneen. So yeah, best possible fruit, best possible winemakers. Yes, success story really, isn't it? You know, so that's what we've got. And if we can sell a little bit through the cellar door, and yeah, that's about it, I think, Tommy.
So you came into the industry 4 years ago, a relatively short period of time, but for people that are considering getting into the industry or taking the next step to buy their own vineyard or to study further, what tips would you give those people?
Tips is, look, don't be afraid. You definitely need work ethic, and I'm not trying to make myself sound like the best worker going around or anything like that. I think the advice given to me is get a good consultant. Surround yourself with good people. Sometimes your friends, without even knowing, as I said, can be your worst critic, sort of thing. They can, all of a sudden you're laying in bed of a night doubting yourself because they'll ask, what are you doing that for? You don't know anything about that. But just, look, my advice, work ethics, ask a lot of questions. Do not stop asking questions, and read a lot, do a viticultural course. Yeah, look, it's a great life. I absolutely love it. And look, don't get me wrong, I had that safety net of, I had a 2-year plan. I'd have a go at it for 2 years. If it was going to be too much for me and I couldn't get my head around it, sadly I was going to bulldoze them and move on and go back to plan A. So, but yeah, no, a bit passionate about it now, so no way.
As we walked over, I think I saw something back there in the vines. Tell us a bit about this, Rob.
Well, we're pretty clever down here. We actually we grow our bottles straight from the vine. This is Sue's Chardonnay, which she was very kind to give us. And I'll just take this chance now, Sue. I haven't got any of this stuff left, so it'd be lovely if I could get a bottle or two off you. So yeah, very proud. I mean, she makes it, we grow it. Name's on the back of the bottle. Yeah, so that's Sue's. And she, as I said, she makes our wine. She constructs a wine for us, and as does Chromie's. But we sell the majority of the fruit to Sue and the majority of the fruit to Jeremy.
So just on I suppose, a bit more of a serious note before we do finish up, how have you been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic that's currently happening?
Oh yeah, look, I'm still doing a bit in my glazing business. My wife is still part-time at the hospital. Yeah, if we were reliant on this, it would affect us greatly. Obviously, you had to shut the cellar door. Over the last 4 years, we've developed some self-contained accommodation on the property, which we opened in November, believe it or not, and it's been going beautifully. We thought, oh, how good's this? This is great. So this is a great, thing going in a transition going into retirement. This is fantastic. We're meeting new people and people coming to the cellar door, and then all of a sudden it's stopped. So yeah, look, of course, it's affected everybody. So I'd just like to take this opportunity now to say to everyone, stay safe, do what you're told, stay home, but get behind people like Sue, purchase her wine, get behind the local people, because if you don't get behind Sue and people like that, well, she can't support us. And so it's just a chain, isn't it? It just goes down the chain. So yeah, so please support Sue, and by doing that, you're helping us.
And when this is all over, when people are able to travel further and enjoy glasses of wine together, what do you want people to do? Come
to Bundaleera. No, Bundaleera, we've got great wine. I don't know if you could see the view when you were videoing me back up there, but yeah, this is very tranquil here where we live, and the people that have stayed here from all over the world, we've had them stay here, and they're gobsmacked with the view and the fresh air. And yeah, look, come down if you're coming down to Tassie, come and stay with us at Bundaleera. And we give for people to do stay with us, we give a free wine tasting, and sometimes those wine tastings get out of hand a little bit, but everyone loves it. And sometimes I say to my wife, we're never going to make any money because our glasses are too big, and Janine makes a cheese platter worthy of a king, and so yeah, just come and visit us. It would be great.
Beautiful. Thank you for your time, Rob. We'll pan back over to the beautiful view here from Bundaleera Vineyard. If you'd like to get in contact with Rob or Janine, please visit bundaleeravineyard.com.au. Their contact details are on there, and we look forward to sharing this amazing spot and the beautiful wines in the future. Thanks, everybody.